Welcome to the Artist Advisory Hotline, the podcast for artists who want valuable guidance and honest answers on how to grow their careers and develop their new project from leading art world experts and artists. Here's your host and founder of the Artist Advisory, Marina Granger. Tune in as she gets you the answers you deserve.
Hello, artists. I'm your host, Marina Granger, and I'm tuning in from my beautiful hotel room in Miami Beach right now because I am in Miami along with probably close to 100,000 other art lovers this week, the first week of December, the first full week of December, enjoying the art fairs and enjoying the hustle and bustle and everything to do around them. And I am here to give you some tips. If you're an artist or just visiting the fairs, I want to give you 5 tips for visiting the fairs because I have been going down to Miami now since 2012, I believe, or 2013. Can't remember, but I've been coming down here for at least 10 years for the art fairs. And yes, okay, every time I come down here, it's my birthday because my birthday is on December 3rd. So if you're listening and you're like, oh my gosh, Marina, happy birthday, I would love to ask you for a really teeny gift that will take you 1 second. This is a big birthday gift for me. But if you could just go and leave me a 5-star review for this podcast, that would be so cool. That would be the best birthday gift ever because it would help me get my message out to more people. Thank you so much. If you're able to do this, thank you so, so much. I really, really appreciate it and feel welcome to sharing your stories, a screenshot of you doing that, because if you do, I will repost you. I will thank you so profusely and I'll send you a voice message. So please, thank you so much. I can't believe I'm actually asking for something, but I think that's so important to do because a lot of the time we don't ask because we already assume that the answer is no. And I have to tell you, in my experience, once I realized this, once I started asking, I started to get a lot more yeses than I expected. And some of the yeses came from the art fairs themselves. I am bringing 2 groups of artists down to Miami, I guess over here, right, to enjoy the fairs. And we are going to learn exactly what all the different fairs are about and how to understand where you fit in the whole grand scheme of the art world. And so I am so grateful to some of the fairs that we're going to, most of the fairs that we're going to, that were able to give us tickets, complimentary tickets. So if you asked me about this even a year ago, I would never have the nerve to ask for these tickets, but I am so, so grateful and honored that we got tickets, right? And the only reason that we got these complimentary tickets is because I asked. So how cool is that, right? So anyway, so that's happening. We're going to go visit an art fair, then have a lunch with a curator, then visit another art fair and have dinner at one of my favorite restaurants here, because it's kind of like really campy, but kind of amazing. And you kind of have to do it, which is Gianni's at the former Versace mansion. And then we're going to go to the next day, which we're going to start with an art fair, have another lunch with a curator where, you get to learn how to really socialize with a curator if you haven't before, or in the context of being amongst so much art. You get to practice what I call your elevator pitch, right? And then after that, we are going to have a workshop where we alchemize, kind of understand and articulate all the things that we learned throughout the day and a half prior, right? And then we're going to finish up the experience with a private sound bath, which if you have never had a sound bath, and I feel like people that I talk to, it's like 50-50. They either have had a sound bath or haven't. So if you haven't and you don't know what it is, it's basically this exactly what it sounds. But what you have is a practitioner with a bunch of instruments that are usually kind of like percussion instruments. So you've got these giant glass or brass bowls that create a sound once they're hit with like a little gongy thing. And then you might have an actual gong or maybe even a rattle. And because of the way these sound baths are facilitated, so two things happen. One is you get into this theta state, which is a dreamlike state, and you're conscious, you're awake, but your eyes are closed. And when you're having this sound bath, what happens is you start to process information so quickly. And you get these aha moments. It's sort of like a meditation, but it doesn't necessarily have to be guided. It could be guided, and it's wonderful when it is, right? Now, in addition to that, the other thing that happens is generally when you receive a sound bath, you're laying down on like a yoga mat and you've got your eyes covered, you've got a blanket over you. So you're in this like very cozy space. And yes, you're in theta mode because of these waves hitting you, right? These frequencies of the sound, because the instruments are right there, right? And sound is actual waves and it hits your body. It's so cool. The other thing that happens is it hits your body, right? These vibrations really influence you. So these frequencies really influence you, and different instruments activate different energy centers of the body. And it's just a great experience. So maybe there's this yoga studio next to you that does that, and you're curious to check it out. If you do, and you haven't done it before, let me know. And also, if you love sound baths, let me know. Shoot me a DM. I would love to hear from you. So, in this episode, I want to give you 5 tips for attending Miami Art Week, right? And so, let's start with the first one. Now, the first one is that you can't do it all, right? There are so many art fairs in Miami during this week, right? There's like there's probably close to 100,000 art lovers in Miami right now. That means, there's so much going on. You probably already know someone who's here. You might even know someone who is in an art fair, like whose work is in an art fair somewhere. There's probably 10 art fairs. And, they're the main ones, of course. And ironically, we all think that Art Basel, Miami Beach, which is the main fair, was the first one to come to Miami, but it wasn't. It was actually Art Miami, which opened up here in 1990. And then Art Basel Miami Beach came to Miami in 2002. So it's a really fun piece of trivia. And after Art Basel came to Miami Beach, which brought in all of these wonderful high-end blue chip galleries. Then all of these other satellite art fairs opened up, including the Satellite Art Fair. But they include fairs like Nada, Untitled, and now we consider Art Miami, Context Art Miami, and Aqua Art Miami, which are the first kind of fairs that were here, were part of the same kind of like parent company that Art Miami is. We consider them satellite fairs, but they're not exactly, are they? Because they were the first fairs that were here in Miami. But regardless of the semantics, these are all wonderful, wonderful fairs to visit. And there's so many of them. So don't put this pressure on yourself that you're going to go and see everything and that you're going to go to every party. And so that brings us to tip number 2, is that it's all about human connections, right? It's so, so important for you to be aware that we're all coming here to be in person, to look at the art in person, but also to meet each other in person. So when you're walking around these fairs, don't focus only on the artwork. Keep your head up. Don't look at your phone the whole time. Keep your antenna up. As Jerry Saltz once told me when I ran into him at the Frieze Art Fair in New York, and he was like, hey, I was like, so many people. And he's like, I know, isn't it great? Like, this is what we're doing. We're just meeting people here. And I thought that was one of the most valuable bits of advice. And I want to share that with you. And you might not know people, but you might know of them. Like, you might recognize someone if you're here during Miami Art Week. And that's totally cool. Come up to them, say, hey, I follow you on Instagram. I love your work. Or I know you, you're so and so. I follow you on Instagram, or whatever it is, right? It's so wonderful to do that. I was actually just at the Untitled Art Fair opening. And when I was at Untitled, I ran into 3 art world people that I very much admire. And so it was so cool to just say, like, hey, are you so-and-so? I really love what you do. And it was so great that they responded so kindly as well. And we made this personal connection. And now they're like, oh, great, you're so-and-so, and we're connected, right? I always think of these art fairs as kind of like the art industry trade shows where everybody goes and meets everyone and understands what everybody is selling. And it's not just art that's being sold. It's not just galleries and collectors. It's art advisors. It's the press. It is artist advisors. It's artists and so much more. So keep your antenna up, right? The third tip here is don't push your art in a booth you don't have work in, right? So a lot of these booths are really quite an investment, not only a financial investment for the gallery, but also a time investment. And they are really focused on selling the work. It's super important for them to sell the work because that's how they're going to be able to come back, right? They're also going to be making a lot of connections and making a lot of sales after the fair as well. And they're also going to be meeting some of their collectors who they might not know in person. So perhaps they have a collector who they know from another state, but they've never met them in person, right? And so they're going to be meeting them there. So don't monopolize their time and don't push your art on them. If they ask you if you're an artist, yes, of course you can respond and tell them the truth. Yes, I'm an artist. But one tip for that is that you can also say, like, look, I'm not going to be offended if you have to go and you see someone that you have to talk to, but I love talking to you and I love your gallery. If you say that, they're going to feel like you're super professional and you know what's going on, right? So, and also don't be offended if they do have to go. So here's the thing that you do want to do when you're in an art fair booth. This is super cool. So what you want to do is you want to take your phone. Everybody, I feel like, has a smartphone nowadays. Take your phone and do a video panning over their booth and make it a beautiful video. And you want to make it look like there's a lot of people in the booth and that the lighting is great and all of these things. And then put it up on your story on Instagram, on Facebook, whatever. Instagram is probably better because I think galleries check their Instagram more than they would their Facebook, but and so tag them, say beautiful booth by at whatever gallery at whatever fair, right? And so you're tagging both the fair and the gallery. And this is really wonderful because you're getting the word out for the gallery. You're actually like showing them that you're an excellent marketer and you're marketing their work to your people, which is really great. And then they might think, oh, well, who is this Anne who reposted me? And then they tap on your profile and they see your work. And that's a wonderful way to make that first connection, right? So that is my tip for you there. Now, we're almost out of tips. I guess I'm never out of tips. So tip number 4 is wear comfortable shoes. You're going to be walking so much. I know that I walk here about 20 to 25,000 steps a day during Art Week, right? And I don't want my shoes to stop me. So I've always been wearing really comfortable shoes once I realized that shoes can really hurt, and that realization came really quick. So don't compromise your comfort. If you are wearing a dress and you are like, hey, I don't know if I can wear sneakers, you could totally wear sneakers. You could wear cute little white sneakers or something like that. So then you are not in pain. And if you have to go to a party in this 90-degree weather, whatever it is, then I have an additional tip for you about comfortable shoes. And that tip is you can put baby powder on your feet before you put your shoes on. Because if you do that, then your feet are less likely to create moisture, which then they're much less likely to get blisters from these shoes. And at the end of the night, if you can, just soak your feet in warm water for a little bit, because that will reset your feet and you're going to wake up feeling so much more comfortable in the morning. And you know what? I'm giving you these tips now, and I'm like, you don't even have to be in Miami to use this tip, to use tip number 4 or tip number 5. So tip number 5 is go in there with a bout of confidence. This is so valuable. When you are confident, you are not assuming that the answer is no. And so you are also going to have much better interactions and have a much better experience. And in the time that we have here today, I'm not going to be able to inject you with so much confidence, right? Especially if you're like, oh, I don't know, I just had a holiday dinner and my family or something, right? But hopefully nobody had negative experiences. But I'm going to give you some ways that you could harness your confidence, right? First thing is to have a list of your most proudest achievements in your mind. So think about like your proudest achievements. Maybe you graduated art school and that's a really big thing, right? Maybe you got a review or invited to show your work at a show, or you got accepted into a show, or whatever it is, or you sold a painting right away, or got a compliment from this really important person, right? So think about those achievements and quantify them. Because once you start to do that, you can't argue with yourself, right? You'll be like, hey, wait, I actually achieved these things. I'm pretty cool. And that's really great for confidence. And the next thing is a little exercise in the mirror. It takes 2 seconds to do this exercise. Before you look in the mirror, think about all of your doubts, all of these things that you're like, I'm not confident. I'm just like going to let it all out. I'm just having a moment here. And look in the mirror and look at yourself. Then look away and look at and ask yourself, wait, how do I look in that mirror? Did I look like the person I want to be? And before you spiral, pretend for a second, pretend for maybe 5 seconds that you are the coolest thing ever. You have all the confidence in the world. You have got it. You've just like, you are a gift, right? Which you are, right? And you're all my gift. Everyone listening, you are my gift. So I have to tell you that. But imagine this, right? You are just amazing. And then look in the mirror again and ask yourself, do I want to look like this person or do I want to look like the person before? And you'll see this incredible difference in what you look like, right? And why deny yourself that confidence? Because the moment you're confident, you look like a different person. And you're going to have so many more doors open up for you. And with that, I conclude my 5 tips for you. So just to list them all quickly, they are that you can't do it all. So don't worry about your schedule during Miami Art Week. 2, it's all about human connection. So to speak, keep your antenna up as per Jerry Saltz. And 3, don't push your artwork in a booth you don't have work in. Instead, just post a nice video of the booth on your Instagram stories and tag the gallery. And that's how you can make a beautiful connection, right? 4 is wear comfortable shoes. You can always wear like little white sneakers or Birkenstocks as long as they're clean. Go, wear those. And if you do have to wear party shoes because you're going to a party, really recommend putting baby powder in your feet ahead of time and then soaking your feet after a day of walking for, miles and miles and miles. And so soak them in warm water. And 5 is inject yourself with a bout of confidence, right? Think to yourself about your achievements and do that mirror exercise where you look at the mirror as the not confident person and then the confident person. And then you decide who you choose to be that day. So with that, thank you so, so much again for my birthday. I would love it if you could leave me a 5-star review and share that review with me on Instagram. I would love, love, love that so much. And I will send you a voice note thanking you. So that would be so cool. And thank you and enjoy.
Thank you so much for listening. Support your community by sharing this podcast, leaving a review, and follow The Artist Advisory on Instagram at @the_artist_advisory. And visit us online at www.theartistadvisory.com.